In this video, I'm going to talk about why your RAG isn't working and what are the potential steps you can take to improve it. Now, in this video, I will be discussing 6 main steps to potentially improve your RAG and generation. And on the right over here, you can see the RAG or naive RAG structure or pipeline. You have the input query, contextual embedding, document retrieval. You do some document selection by re-ranking or ranking them in a specific way. And then you get the end generations at the end. Now, currently, I'm trying to improve my own RAG pipeline, and I'm actually following one of the steps over here, and I'm going to talk about exactly which one I'm doing. Now, the steps can be broken down into 6 main steps. You have find, adapt, select, tune, efficient, and refine. I'm going to tell you guys exactly what each of those mean. So what is RAG? So I'm assuming people who have clicked on this video already know what RAG is, and they just want to take their RAG pipelines to the next step just to improve it a bit more. So I'm not going to bore you through the details of what a RAG is. But essentially, you make a query to a LLM, and the LLM has some external context that it retrieves from and gives you a better generation. Now, what is the first step you can take? So the first step that I took to improve my generation is to actually improve my embeddings model. Now, previously, I was using a GPT-4o model, which is a locally hosted open source embeddings model called GPT-4all. It was actually released by Nomic. So what I did was I changed it to OpenAI's text embeddings model, and that actually helped it just a little bit. And what I should have done is actually fine-tune the embeddings model. And right now I'm actually gathering data to improve it, and that is something I have to do in the future. But nevertheless, these are 2 main steps you can use to improve your RAG architecture. Now, if you see on the faster framework that I made, essentially, you have to find a good embeddings model, and 2, you have to adapt the embeddings model for your domain data so that the embeddings model is aware of your domain, aware of the problems you are solving. Now, for me, this is quite crucial because the problem that I am solving is not really well aware, or not a lot of people actually know about. So I have to really train the embeddings model. So this is a crucial step for me that I have to do. So improving document retrieval, another aspect. So once you get the embeddings, you retrieve the documents. This is a massive subject. And I made a video about this called Advanced RAG. Essentially, what are the most advanced techniques that you can use to improve retrieval? So when you get the embeddings, how do you rank the documents you need in the best way possible? So I have a video on that. Please feel free to check it out. But one of the recent ones that is quite promising is called ensemble retriever. Essentially, there are different retrieval mechanisms that you can use, but what if you can use all of them together at the same time and you get the best of all the worlds and also rank them to see which one is the most relevant data that you can use to feed into the LLM as the context. So that is called ensemble retriever, something you may want to check it out. Now, personally, I'm not going to implement it right now for my own use case. I'm mostly going to focusing on the next subject, which is improving the response generation. This is essentially using a better model. So what is interesting is right now I'm using a Llama 3 model, or I'm actually planning to train a Llama 3 model. And right now I'm trying to structure the data in a way that I can train the generation model. So I'll be using a Llama 3 model. I should probably use a Qwen 2 model, and I'm going to tell you guys why that is the case. First of all, you need to pick a model that has a high needle in the haystack score, which essentially means you're going to have different paragraphs, different types of paragraphs. But then if the model cannot pick up the small details of the paragraphs, then you will probably not get a good end generation, regardless of how strong of a document ranker, document selections you have. So it's quite crucial that you use a model that can pry out the small nuances of the paragraphs of the documents you retrieve and give you a better end generation. And this can be done in 2 ways, really. One is to choose a good embeddings model, but also to fine-tune the generation model with your data. After all, if the model doesn't know what you're working with or not really aware of it, then it is highly likely it will not give you the best response. Now, some of the models that I recommend using when you are improving the generation is, if you want to use open source models, I highly recommend Qwen 2. Qwen 2 is a model that has been documented to have a high needle in the haystack score. And if you want to use commercialized models like GPT-4 models, in that sense, I would highly recommend the Claude models, the Claude 3 models to be specific. I believe they also released a new one called Claude 3.5 Sonet, which is also quite good and quite fast. And that is something I highly recommend to use. And not only that, I don't see a lot of people talk about it at all. I don't know why. It's only a small group of people in niche forums that talk about it. But actually further pre-training the model on your domain data. Essentially, when you don't have a labeled data to train a model on, what if you could just use the data by itself and just train the model? There's ways to do that, and nobody's really talking about it. By the way, I should teach that in my data society, a private community, so please free to check it out. Now, this is essentially the faster framework. Now, if you go over here, we have the faster framework over here. You find, adapt, select, tune. So find and adapt, this is for the embeddings model. You find the embeddings model and then adapt it to your domain. You select the best model for your generation, and then you tune it. Why select the best model? This is because to find the model that has the highest needle in the haystack score, but also you tune the generation model using fine tune and pre-train. And also something a lot of beginners really neglect, and which I used to neglect as well when I was just starting out in the AI space, when I was actually studying and was a student, is I completely neglected the use of effective data. So which data is most relevant for me? And also if I have sufficient data, that is super, super, super important. So please don't sleep on it. Make sure you have the data and using the right type of data. Now, once all the steps are done, the work is not finished. You have to keep on refining the different steps over here. So let's say you take the best embeddings model, you test it and see if it improves it. And make sure you version your system, your data, see if it works or improves your system. And you do the next thing for the adaptation part, which is training the model. Does it actually improve it? You also have to test the model. There are ways to test RAG systems called RAGs, essentially meaning RAG assessment, a way to test whether or not your RAG pipeline is actually useful. And there you guys have it. That is some steps that I'm following right now on how to improve a RAG pipeline. I hope you found this video insightful. If you guys did, please feel free to subscribe. I make similar videos like these. All right, guys, I hope to see you in my next video. Have a nice day.